You already know it's no secret that teenagers can be wildly moody. There's so much pressure on teenagers today that it's no wonder that they feel so negative and overwhelmed all the time. But what if you struggle with negative thinking all the time? That's really exhausting, and it can be hard to transform your negative thoughts into positive ones. You know that thinking negatively about yourself keeps you in a crappy mood, but how do you break the cycle? How can you even begin to think more positively about yourself? It is possible to stop hating on yourself. I've helped hundreds of teens with this, and I'm going to share with you one of my favorite strategies using an exercise called the belief ladder. So real quick, let's back up and talk about the power of belief. Your mind believes whatever you tell it. And based on what you tell it, it will steer you in the direction that it confirms is true. This is called the confirmation bias. Basically, whatever you think, your mind likes to confirm that it's true. So it looks for evidence of whatever you're thinking. Again, your mind wants to believe and trust you, so it's going to look for proof that what you tell it is true. This is how we get stuck in negative thinking patterns. We all have automatic negative thoughts, or ANTs for short, where sometimes our initial thought is a negative one. Because again, that's how we've survived as a species. Now, if you stick with that initial negative thought and you keep going, and confirming that negative thought is true, you're gonna stay in that negative, crappy mood. So if you find yourself thinking, I'm so stupid, your mind is going to look for proof that you're stupid, and you're gonna further reinforce that belief. And because noticing and acknowledging and preparing for negative experiences have saved us as a species, we are more likely to err on the side of negative confirmation bias than positive ones. So let's jump into it and do a belief ladder together so you can see how this works. Step 1 is I want you to pull out a piece of paper and write down any negative thought that you have about yourself, whether you believe it's true or not. For this example, I'm going to choose the thought, I'm so stupid. But you can really choose any negative thought that holds an emotional charge for you. Next, I want you to notice where in your body you feel that charge most. So starting with your head and going all the way down to your tippy toes. Just noticing where you feel that negativity. Now, this can be in different places for different people. My negative emotional charges tend to live right in like my heart center to throat area. So it's all right up in here. For other people, they may hold it in their belly, other people in their hands. I've had where people have felt it in their legs, in their head. Really, it can be in any body part for you. You just want to notice where it lives. Once you've located where that negative emotional charge lives in your body associated with that negative thought, you want to go ahead and rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is it feels totally neutral, it doesn't bother you at all, and 10 is the most intense, extreme negativity it could possibly feel. And write that number down right next to that negative thought. Okay, now that you have your negative thought and your emotional charge number, underneath that, I want you to write down the positive thought that you would rather believe about yourself. Don't worry if you don't believe it yet. That's okay. Or maybe you already do believe it, but it's not as strong as you'd like it to be. Or that negative thought just keeps popping in. So since my negative thought is I'm so stupid, I could choose something like I'm so smart or I'm not so stupid. Really, you can use whatever language feels good for you. I'm going to go with I'm so smart because I want to. Why not? So again, I'm going to have you check in on another scale. This one's a little bit different. Instead of 0 to 10, this time I want you to rate how true that positive thought feels on a scale of 1 to 7, where 1 is it is not true at all and 7 is it's absolutely true. So once you have that rating, go ahead and write it down next to that positive thought, the thought you'd like to believe. Okay, now this is the really fun part. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you can either set a timer or you can set a number limit, and you're gonna write down every reason that you can think of that that positive statement is true. So for me, if I'm going with I'm so smart, I'm going to list down every single reason that I am so smart. I would really recommend challenging yourself with coming up with at least 10 reasons. And if you find yourself getting stuck, go ahead and hang in there until you have those 10, because trust me, this is where the magic happens and you learn how to really dig deep for those positive reasons. This is you training your mind to look for the positive proof, not just the negative. Though, if you want a real hearty challenge, go for 50 or 100. That's where the magic happens. If you're following along with the video, go ahead and pause it now and come back after you have your list. I don't want you to skip ahead. Okay, do you have all your reasons listed? Awesome, I knew you could do it. Now go ahead and read through all your reasons together. And once you have, go back to that negative thought at the start. And when you read it this time, on a scale of 0 to 10, how intense does that negative thought feel now? Write it down. After you've done that, read that positive statement, and this time rate how true it feels using that 1 to 7 scale, where 1 is it's not true at all and 7 is it's absolutely true. Pretty cool how you can shift your thoughts with just a few reasons. If your numbers didn't change or they stay the same, that's totally okay. That means that you just need a little more work with this, or you might have to change up the way you frame your thoughts. You have lots of choices here, and you can change up how you say that positive statement. And remember, this stuff takes time. Just like with any exercise, the first time that you do it, it might feel a little tough or rough, or it might not go exactly as planned. But every time you use this exercise, you will get stronger and smarter, and it will become easier. So give it a go another time, or try it with a different thought. If you struggle with negative thoughts that just kind of show up and pop into your head, I'm sharing 7 different ways that you can crush automatic negative thoughts. Hi, I'm Mallory Grimsey. I am a teen therapist, and I'm all about helping you improve your mental health. So we all have ants, and I'm not talking about those creepy crawly bugs that pop out in the summertime. I'm talking about automatic negative thoughts. So even though ants are meant to protect us from harm, sometimes they can be really problematic, especially if they're impacting our self-esteem and confidence. That's because they will keep us from taking positive risks if we let them. While we can't always control the automatic negative thoughts that pop into our head, or those first initial reactive thoughts, that's something that takes time and skill and practice. And that's where therapy can help if you're really struggling with managing automatic negative thoughts. But in the meantime, while you're working on those deeper issues, giving yourself a little bit of a break and distracting yourself from the thoughts when they're really intense and stressful can be really helpful. That way, when you go back to whatever problem is causing those automatic negative thoughts to pop up in the first place, you're a little more calmer and clearer and able to reasonably problem solve at that point. Dialectical behavior therapy breaks down their distraction coping skills into 7 different areas, and they use the acronym ACCEPTS. A stands for activities. Now this can be any sort of activity that takes up your thinking process. So this could be doing a puzzle, it could be reading a book, it could be watching a movie, it could be playing or practicing a sport or an instrument. There's lots of different activities here. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite activity is when you need to distract yourself from really stressful automatic negative thoughts. The first C is all about contributing. So when you contribute, it means that you are doing something for the greater good. Whether that is for your immediate family, for your classmates, for a loved one, for a friend, social justice at large, anything that you can do to be a part of and that's helping. So this could be writing a letter. It could be saying thank you. It could be showing up and helping out for a cause or a mission or a program that you really support. It can also be as simple as putting the dishes away without your parents asking. If you have any causes or programs that you really support and you're already contributing to, leave them in the comments below so that we can help as well. The second C is all about comparing. Now, this is one of those coping strategies that can get a little dicey. So you have to be intentional about how you use comparing. A lot of people will use the comparing coping skill to compare their experience to somebody else's. But I don't really find that helpful because it usually either leaves you feeling superior or less than somebody else. And that just doesn't feel good. I don't know, it just isn't very motivating. What I like to suggest instead when it comes to comparing is comparing your own experience to your previous or former experience in that area or to your future experience. So with teens, I know being in high school can be really miserable at times and it can feel like it's going to last forever. So when you can compare your experience now, knowing that high school ends for everyone, hopefully successfully, taking a moment to consider your future after high school can be really beneficial. An example of comparing to your past is keeping track of your progress. When it comes to something like exercising or working out, it takes time to build flexibility and stamina and endurance. So by keeping track of where you're starting and where you're growing can be really motivating and beneficial as well, so that you're tracking according to your own progress and not somebody else's. I didn't really start working out and taking my physical health seriously until a few years ago. I kept finding myself comparing my personal physical fitness to other people who had been working out for years and decades, which wasn't really fair. So it kept me from making the moves to start working out. But once I did, I went from not being able to do a simple basic roll-up to completing a Tough Mudder race. That's pretty amazing. E is about using your other emotions to distract yourself from your negative thoughts. You can do this by watching a scary movie or a comedy. You can do something a little silly like dancing around. You can do really anything that's going to shift your mood into another emotional state. And what this will do is it will shake up your thinking process a bit so that you're not getting stuck in one way of thinking. Pushing away is a favorite coping strategy of teens, and that's because it can look like you're pushing away negative thoughts when in actuality you are avoiding the situation, and that's not healthy. So pushing away means taking some time or space away from the thoughts with the intention of coming back to them. So I know a lot of teens will tell me, I was pushing away my negative thoughts by not working on my homework. But if you never go back to working on your homework, that's not really pushing away. That's just delaying the inevitable. So you can push away your negative thoughts by journaling or creatively expressing them. You can write it in a letter and put it under your pillow to reflect and look at later when you're not in such an intense emotional state. You can vent or talk to a friend. You can even take a nap. Using other thoughts to replace your automatic negative thoughts is an awesome distraction coping strategy. You can do this by playing some thinking games, like reciting the alphabet backwards, Z through A, or counting backwards from 100 to 0 by 7. It's really difficult. You can recite song lyrics or a poem or a passage that's really important to you. Anything to replace your current negative thoughts with new thoughts is a great way to distract yourself from them. Focusing on the way your different sensations feel can be really helpful and distracting as well. Make sure that you put any coping skills that you find useful and helpful on your Coping Ahead plan. If you don't have one already, you can download a free PDF version by clicking the link in the description box below. You is kind, you is smart, you is beautiful. This is what Abilene tells May repeatedly to help boost her self-esteem and confidence as a young woman in the book and the movie, The Help. And if you have no idea what that is, you should go check them out. So we may not all have an Abilene telling us how smart, kind, and beautiful we are, but we can use positive affirmations like these to help boost our self-esteem. Positive affirmations are totally having a moment right now, and I'm here for it. Heck, I've been shouting my praises for positive affirmations for quite some time. So even though I've shared about positive affirmations in the past, let me break it down for you right now. Positive affirmations are positive self-talk statements that we tell ourselves to improve our mindset, our self-esteem, our confidence. They're often used as anchors or reminders of the goals or the dream life that we're working towards. Now, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about what the right or correct way is to use positive affirmations, but honestly, do what works for you. Don't worry what the rest say. You probably want to know what my favorite way is to use positive affirmations, and I'll share those in a bit. But first, I want to tell you why positive affirmations are so freaking cool and powerful, and why I love using them. Your mind believes whatever you tell it, it's true. So our subconscious is kind of like a rudder of a boat. And don't worry if you don't know anything about boats or boat terminology. I am not a boater. I can appreciate a good boat ride, but I have no idea. And even I can understand this. The rudder is the part of the boat that helps steer the boat in the direction that you want it to move in. And our minds work the same way. So your subconscious is taking in everything you tell it. Your subconscious wants to believe you. So if you keep thinking, I'm so stupid, your rudder, your subconscious, is going to take that in and believe it and go, oh, I'm a stupid person. Let's go do stupid people things. And suddenly you find yourself in these wonky situations where you're making silly mistakes, like circling the wrong answer on that test, even though you knew the right one. That's because your subconscious, your rudder, it wants to believe you, and it's going to steer you in the direction that you tell it to go. Positive affirmations are really cool because they can reset what you're training your rudder or your subconscious to believe. So when you say positive affirmations to yourself, your rudder is going to start moving you in that direction instead. So how do you set positive affirmations? Well, let me tell you. First, you want to go ahead and choose a positive statement that you'd rather believe about yourself. So let's say that your top college that you want to go to is XYZ University. Yes, I'm making up a university. You might choose a positive affirmation like, I am loving life as a college student at XYZ University. So you might be like, wait a second, I'm not at XYZ University yet, and how do I even know that I'll like it? Well, you don't. And it's okay if it's not happening yet. Positive affirmations can be really cool and powerful to use for our future dream lives. So you can still use that positive affirmation today. Though if you're still having a really difficult time and you're struggling to come up with a positive affirmation that your rudder is willing to accept and believe, that's okay too. You need your positive affirmation to feel believable, even if you don't think it's 100% true yet. If you don't have any inkling that it could come true, your rudder is going to sense that and it's going to say, we don't believe this, bye. And it will reject that positive affirmation. You may end up feeling worse about yourself. You want to make sure that they're believable. So one small tweak that I like to use in these situations is to add the words, I am working towards, to the start of that positive affirmation. This really helps it feel more true and more believable. So instead of saying, I am loving life as a college student at XYZ University, you would say instead, I am working towards loving life as a college student at XYZ University. Feels a little bit better, right? So here are some helpful tips that you may find helpful too. Use the first person. Use the word I. When you talk about yourself in the first person, you're more willing and likely to hear and believe what you're telling yourself. Though other people have a hard time with this at first, and it's okay to use the third person. That's using you instead. Sometimes it feels better when somebody else is telling us a positive affirmation. So in those instances, try both out and see what works best for you. Make sure you incorporate how you want to feel. When you can incorporate the feelings or emotions, that gives your rudder or your brain a little more information. And we love feelings. Feelings help move and guide us in the direction that we want to go. When we have a pleasant emotional experience, we're more willing and likely to move in that direction versus an unpleasant one. We just want to ignore or push that away. Write them down. Writing down your positive affirmations helps include another sensory experience. And there's been a lot of research that when we write down our thoughts, our goals, our feelings, it helps solidify it in our brain. When we can see it, we believe it. So putting your positive affirmations somewhere that you will see it regularly will be really helpful in making sure that it stays top of mind. I just did a video about creating dream jars. You can certainly do something like that with your positive affirmations. You can also place them on a mirror, in your binder, in your planner. You can put them on your computer, your locker. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You just want to make sure that you put them somewhere that you will see them and appreciate them every day. And try moving them around and mixing it up. Once we get used to it, it kind of blends into the background, and that's not the point. Say them out loud to yourself. Again, incorporating another sensory experience helps to solidify it in our brains. So when you are audibly saying these positive affirmations out loud, your ears and your mind are taking it in with one more extra sense. And if you're really up for a challenge, say it while you're looking at yourself in the mirror. This has like the 200% benefit because when we are helping somebody else, we feel good about that too. So when we see ourselves actually helping ourselves, it's this weird phenomena where we're like, oh, I feel really good about that. Now, this can feel a little intimidating and it could be a little emotional the first few times that you try this. I have known people who have tried this and they've ended up crying or they've felt so panicky. It's too intimate to start with, and that's okay. Other people, they're like, no problem. Whatever is going to work for you. Remember, these are just suggestions. They're not must-dos. You know what will work best for you. And if you don't, try it out. And if you're having trouble staying motivated and sticking to your goals, go ahead and watch the video on your screen right now where I'm sharing all about how to use visualization using dream jars. And make sure you share this video because you never know who it could help. Thanks for watching.